So we are back again, back in the town of Knighton. This is the location for the start of the Trans Cambrian Way. Now this is a route that I tackled last year, 11 months ago. Set a fastest known time at that point of the route, which totals 168 kilometers and with over 4,000 meters of climbing. So it starts from Knighton in the east, right on the border of England, finishes in Dovey Junction in the west. Mostly off-road. And a month ago, I kind of knew that someone might have a crack at it. So Methevin Bond beat my fastest known time. Took quite a big chunk of time off it. So this was the bike that I decided to do it on. When I did it before, I did it on a gravel bike. And this time I used my Pivotless 29er. It was a mountain bike, but I've altered quite a lot about it. So it's running a Lauf TR29 fork. It's running very lightweight kit. I've got a double chain set. It's an old XTR 38/28 on the front. Just Riding Along Gecko wheels, tuned Speedneedle saddle, mount zoom, inline seat post. Overall weight less than 9 kilos. Minimal spares, just a 1 tube, 2 CO2 canisters, and 1140 on the rear with Di2 group set. And probably the biggest risk was the tyres, which is Thunderburt's front and rear, with this Liteskin on the front, which is I think weighs about 400 grams, so very, very light tyre. And also there you can see I've got a water bottle. That was one big change as well.
Round 2, fight!
So round 2, having a crack, and the weather wasn't perfect this year. Last year it was really hot. This year almost the opposite. Started and it was 1 degree. So I was quite glad to get up onto the first climb and to start getting warm. Didn't have the big blue skies that I had last year, and I didn't have a big tailwind either. The bike that I was using was a little bit faster downhill than what I had last year. The mountain bike with the wider tyres, even though the bars were quite narrow, made a big difference. Some of the downhills quite a bit faster. Some of the single track like this. Also, having done it last year, I knew where I was going most of the way. That really helped. Last year when I did it, it was the first time I'd done it, and I was just relying on a GPX file. This year had a bit of knowledge, so I was able to be a lot better. Did make one mistake, and that was this one, just a small mistake. I was using a Wahoo element bolt for the route. That let me know I was going the wrong way pretty quickly. Got this far when it started beeping. A total lost just about 30 seconds, and this was the only mistake direction-wise that I made on the whole route, which I was really pleased with, because there are so many places where you could potentially go wrong, especially on this first day with the open terrain. It'd be really easy to make a mistake, and that's how basic it was. This is also a section where a mountain bike was quite a bit faster, some rough descents. So last year I did it on a gravel bike, which admittedly did have a wide front tyre. I think it was about almost a 50mm tyre, but with the 2.1 inch tyres, felt a lot better, a lot faster downhill, even though I wasn't taking any risks. Day 1, as you would ride it, if you're doing it over 3 days, 2 hours and 28 minutes to rider, and that was 20 minutes faster than I managed last year, so it was a really good start, feeling quite good. And coming out of rider, starting to get slight improvement in the weather. This was the top of what's known as Puke Hill, quite aptly named. Steep, savage hill that gets you to the very top. And down probably one of the best descents, or certainly the most fun descents in the Elan Valley. This again is another one where the bike seemed a lot better. Swooping, grassy descent, a little bit single track, dodging all the sheep along the way. And trying to be careful again, there were some rocks about, and choosing a good line was still really important with that really fragile front tyre on. I mean, it's a really fast tyre, but I had to be careful of where I was going fast and not taking risks where they didn't need to be taken. One thing that certainly doesn't change about Trans Cambrian is all the gates that you have to go through. I reckon that there's probably over 100 gates, and if you want to be quick on the route, you need to be quite efficient at opening and closing all these gates, which most of them are open. There's only about 2 or 3 which are actually locked, which you can throw your bike over. The rest you can open them all. By the end of it, you get to be a bit of an expert at opening and closing gates, especially if you do it in a day. Another section here, I don't particularly like it. It's quite... What's bad about it is it runs parallel to a road, and you know that you could just make so much more efficient use of your time if you're using that road. But it's here, it's part of the route, so you've got to do it. It's really rocky, rough, it's not really downhill, it's flat the whole way. Just old, sunken, cheap track. Another area where I probably made up a decent amount of time having a mountain bike, and more than the tyres here, just the flat bars give you a bit more leverage to hook over things. And another point, this time I took the river crossing. Last year there was more water last year, so I went around. That probably saved a minute being able to go through there. Onto Clyrowen Dam, which I was really pleased with. This is a very fast but quite a risky section. 40 minutes of gravel track and a big area where there's a risk of puncturing. I did a good time, even though I wasn't pushing myself too hard. I was really pleased with the time I had. Didn't even have a tailwind, or not a noticeable tailwind. So to set the time I did, I was really pleased with. Wasn't holding myself back, but not going flat out. I mean, that time I set, I could easily beat. And it finishes with a nice rough but technical climb out. Another area where you can get your feet wet if you're not careful. Then you come into this section, which is probably the most barren and wild of the whole route. There's some nice single track and some nice riding, but for kilometre after kilometre, you don't see any houses, you don't see any people, and there's only a few gates as well. It's just completely wild. Nice views, you can see all the way up to Snowdon on a nice day. Limon, Cadradris and Havod Estate up ahead. Just a really nice, fast, fun section, and just typical of the Trans Cambrian, but the most in keeping with the route, I think. And this section, after you come out of the most desolate area, you come into Havod Estate, and a really true section of single track. One of the only true sections of single track on the whole route. This particular downhill, it's another where probably a slight advantage having a mountain bike. Nice, fun, fast single track descent. Would be a benefit. One area where I changed this year, last year when I did it, I stopped to resupply on water and also to top up on food. This year took everything I needed from the start, so didn't stop in rider to stock up on any food or any fluid. Instead, I used a water to go filtration bottle. So it's a standard water bottle which has got a water filter inside it, and filled up at a few points along the way. So I started with 2 bottles, then filled up this extra one as and when needed. It wasn't too hot, so I didn't have to top it up too often. This is one place that I did. Close to Llangurig, finished day 2 split just under 6 hours. Another 20 minutes faster than what I had done last year, so I was 40 minutes up by this point. And you start the climb then towards Havran, and it's a really nice section. It's a section that if you weren't racing or trying to set a fast time, that you can really enjoy. Nice swooping single track, gently climbing, and then you get up into Havran Forest. Another water crossing. This one didn't quite go so well. Slipped the front wheel, got soaking wet left foot, which wasn't ideal. big climb followed up past Stay Little to Glaslyn. Some really nice views coming off here, and it leads then to the most technical, the most challenging, and probably the biggest worry for me on the whole route. From the top, most of the climbing's done, and I knew that I was doing well on time, but this descent, it could have all gone to pieces. I had to take a bit of time, choose a careful line, try not to take too many risks, because I knew I was up. Could have gone a lot faster, even on the bike that I had with just a Lauf fork on the front. So yeah, try to keep it steady, a good few minutes faster than last year mine when I was on the gravel bike. But I knew that this was probably the last big risk of a puncture. See, cracking views if you can enjoy it as you're coming down. Goes on for quite some time, a few kilometres and quite a steep descent. And that takes you probably 20k to go from the time that you reach the bottom of this one then. From the bottom, I was feeling really good. Last year when I did it, got to the bottom, I wasn't feeling good and I was really dehydrated and running out of energy. This time round, feeling a lot better, much stronger, able to keep the power going, and onto this last section and really enjoy the last downhill. And then that leads to the finish then in Dovey Junction. Total time for the route this year, 8 hours, 27 minutes and 30 seconds. So a new fastest time as of now. So I just finished. I think second time round, a lot faster this time. Looks like about 8 hours, 27, 8:28, something like that. Really chuffed. No problems, just yeah, no problems at all. Really good ride, really pleased. So yeah, see if anyone else is up for the challenge. It's definitely beatable. Things that I'd change, maybe if I did it again, I think I can go a little bit faster, but yeah, really pleased. Big PB over last time, over an hour faster, so I'm not going to complain about that. Oh yeah, job done.